Welcome back to Linux Weekly Daily Wednesdays, where we take that midweek break to take a look at not the gaming news, but what's been going on, at least what we found interesting in the world of Linux. And coming up this week, the Thunderbird Council has been given 6 months to get their house in order. We're going to talk a lot about that. And the latest Vivaldi snapshot has a brand new feature that some might say straight from the 90s.
Hell freezes over once more. Fedora will provide full MP3 support in their repos, and Google gives Fuchsia a GUI. Totally not looking to test the waters for an Android replacement. Nah.
In addition to making great Linux laptops, System76 goes on a mission to provide the best desktop Linux experience ever. And the layoffs at Canonical start to make more sense now. Mark Shuttleworth hints that he might make the company public soon.
Okay, let's get right into it. MP3's coming to the Fedoras.
Indeed. So you may remember a while back, around November, the patent for MP3 expired. And Fedora, at least they did their part right then and there, and Fedora Workstation enabled you to have MP3 support in GStreamer if you downloaded the GStreamer plugin MPEG-123. But since Fraunhofer, we talked about him last week, they're not licensing anymore. They're not legally allowed to. So the fine folks at Fedora Magazine say, yep, it's coming to Fedora natively at some point in the near future. Looking forward to that. I personally wouldn't want to be in the position of the person responsible for recompiling and packaging the MP3-enabled SDL 1.2, SDL 2, and so on and so forth. No.
Yeah, I mean, there mustn't be a lot of games using MP3. And, there might be a few of them, but they're still discussing in their mailing lists which encoder they will ship. But I don't know any other choices than LAME, the LAME encoder. So it probably
Razor.
is this
I
one.
remember Razor.
And now we could go through the list of all Linux distributions that have been sued because they have been distributing binaries of MP3 codecs.
Now,
So,
to be
okay.
fair, there aren't any, but that's because they've actually been paying for the license. That's the reason you still get that little tick box
I'm
in
not
Ubuntu
sure.
when you start the installer.
I'm not like those really small ones, but that's the thing. They're probably from either Europe or somewhere else where they don't have to care about patents.
Yeah.
Well, at least one thing we can say about Fedora is that takes us down to 18 forbidden items on, yes, there is a forbidden items list
Yeah,
for Fedora.
there is.
Look it up. It's a good time. I mean, that's one of the reasons Strider uses Fedora exclusively.
It's basically, for me, it's the like 18 reasons not to use Fedora.
All right.
Well, let's talk about Debian instead. From one end of the Linux world to the other, it's the Debian Jessie 8.8 update. And the folks at Frostbite say it was released with tons of updates and fixes. Yeah, no, it wasn't. There was like 60 or 70 bug fixes plus 90 security fixes. That's good. It is just a point release. If you already have Debian Jessie, you don't have to worry about this. If you don't have Debian Jessie and you want to start using Debian Jessie for some reason, let's say you're trying to set up a server, don't use it as a desktop. It's just a point release for people coming in, being able to download and install an up-to-date distro without having to wait on the updates after it's already installed.
Yeah, it's just an update for the ISO files. But what's more interesting is now there are very few release critical bugs left, and we should see Debian 9 coming out really soon now, like in the next few months.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a thing. I mean, I'm sure people are just like, okay, that's it. And again, I mean, if you've got a current up-to-date box, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to worry about anything other than it's like, why am I still running Debian? But What's the goons up
Well,
to, man?
someone who doesn't want to run Debian or anything to do with Linux anymore, apparently. Google's Fuchsia smartphone OS dumps Linux and has a new UI. Yep. This article comes from Ars Technica, and it's basically it's the UI that Google tacked on Fuchsia, that operating system. I don't remember if we named it specifically, but we talked about this when we also talked about Google releasing the TPU processor last year. Then they also mentioned the new OS, which no one gave a damn about because it was just a base framework and it was just a command line. Now there's a GUI and people are actually paying attention. Now it remains to be seen how long this will survive after it hits the market in any significant numbers, because they're saying that they're targeting this at high-end phones, systems with non-negligible amounts of RAM, modern processors. They're basically saying, yo, this is Android, but with a new name and not based on the Linux kernel.
Yeah,
now,
and it might make sense also to use it in embedded devices. I don't know what are their plans for that, but I know that sometimes Android is used in embedded stuff, and that would be nice things to have. Like,
well, it's good to see them targeting modern stuff, because if you remember, the original Android, the first shipping product from that, the HTC Dream, that was running a 320 by 480 screen, 528 megahertz CPU with 192 megs of RAM. So yeah. Okay, maybe we want to target something made recently. Also, they're going to be playing around with microkernels. That's awesome. That makes me happy. Also, because addition to that, Java. Let's not use Java anymore because we don't know what Oracle's going to be up to next Tuesday.
Yeah, that's probably a good call. And I get, even without the Oracle thing, I get wanting to get away from the bloat fest that is that glorified JVM we call Android. But I can't help but feel like this is them just looking at throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah, and instead of Java, they will be going with Dart, which is a compiled version of JavaScript. But I doubt it will be like just JavaScript. I think it will be able to run native code in some way, like Dart compiling into native code. The other interesting thing is it has some Vulkan libraries. So
I mean, they kind of have to. Let's face it, Vulkan is the future, as much as Microsoft would like to everyone else to believe otherwise.
Well, it was kind of funny. I was reading something. Microsoft's like, we're going to take another stab at phones. Just light the money on fire and let it go. But hey, man, System76, it looks like they've been paying attention to mobile. More importantly, the initial setup experience.
So System76, they've been doing some work on their design part. So we talked about their plans to to design their own hardware, but now they're starting to design their own software as well. So they went along and, like, in the past they've been shipping with Unity on their laptops, but now it's going all GNOME because Ubuntu will be shipping that as well. And they're making improvement in that regard. So the first step is shipping a custom theme for GTK and icons and all that stuff, which looks awesome. I have been using it since I've heard about it. I like it a lot. It's not only theming, it's also, they want to make GNOME online accounts better. They are still discussing which email client they will use. They want to make KDE Connect. They want to ship with KDE Connect and make it as seamless as possible.
That right there needs to happen. Not just in GNOME, but made other desktop environments. If not by System76 themselves, I hope someone else just, make it happen.
I think it was kind of interesting reading into the blog further on down that they were looking, what I was just saying, lead into this, is what happens when you first hit the power button on your System76 box and what goes on. And what they really want is, like that Android experience or like a Cyanogen or now Lineage OS, where it's like, okay, give me your email address, let's sync your contacts, and let's download, what your app profiles and all that fun stuff is. And, it turns out GNOME has most of this built in, but it needs quite a bit, a little bit of tweaking, a little bit of work in System76, which I've done in the past. This show not sponsored by System76, clearly.
Nope.
Yeah, since they've done stuff like that in the past, they're going to contribute to the project. I say good on that lot.
Yeah, and another thing to note, and it also a very good thing, it's for PPAs. So, when you upgrade from one version of Ubuntu to the other, PPAs will get disabled, but some PPAs are still maintained and active, and they will submit patches to the update manager so they won't get disabled. So that's a very good thing. One thing to note, if you want to use the pop theme, it doesn't look quite right on GTK stuff, so I will try to fix it myself.
GTK2 stuff specifically.
Yeah, GTK2, because it looks awesome on GTK3. But
because I tried it on Ubuntu Mate 1604, which I'm running, and it looks like absolute ass.
Yeah,
on GTK2 apps, no.
Right at all. On GNOME 3 and everything like this looks awesome. On GIMP and Qt stuff, it's not there yet. So I might try to help the project in that regard.
And the rest of us can just install XFCE4 and switch to the high contrast theme and be done with it. Hey, two companies that might soon be done with each other. That's right. This comes from the Thunderbird blog, or Thunder Chicken, however you like to call it. Yeah, basically the Mozilla Foundation, they kind of told the Thunderbird Council to pull a summer. You had some thoughts on this, Strider?
Yeah, there have been a lot of news regarding, is Thunderbird going away? Like, I remember stuff going like this maybe 4 years ago, or even 5 years maybe. The thing is, Thunderbird isn't going away anytime soon. It might have... It might not have the same rhythm as Firefox. It might diverge regarding the code base from Firefox. It's just not going away anytime soon.
Yeah, to kind of break this down with the brass tacks, I was looking at it, and then there's A, B, and C. We got three things that are going on. The first one, the Thunderbird Council, they have to play nice with the Mozilla Foundation's executive team. Apparently, that's something that was going on. They got 6 months to do this. Keep in mind. And then the Thunderbird Council has to gain operational and technical independence with a quickness. Again, that's 6 months. And if they don't do it after 6 months, they're going to invoke option C, which is basically you guys got to move out of the house, because there's two ways you can look at this. The first being that the Mozilla Foundation basically just put Thunderbird Council on final notice, kind of hoping this gentle nudge will kind of get the ball rolling, and you guys get out there, kind of like your teenagers, but your teenager who's 35 or something living at home.
Get out of the house.
Right. Like, come on. Or the other way you can definitely look at this, the Mozilla Foundation might know full well that the Thunderbird Council will not be able to pull this off, but you know what? At the end of the day, they didn't want to come across as, I'm throwing air quotes up here for our audio listeners, the bad guys by just like outright, just like, all right, we're done. Regardless, even if that process does happen, they have 6 months to get everything together. The Thunderbird Council does. And, I don't want to really fault anything, but Strider, I know you're about to say something, but I'll ask you this in passing when I hand it back to you is, Thunderbird's kind of just been stagnant for the past few years. So...
Not really. It sees some developments. It's just that it doesn't get updated with like Firefox in Ubuntu. You don't get the latest updates, so you have to use a PPA or something if you want to get the updates. And it doesn't really need any updates. That's the thing. It's a full-blown email client. It has everything it needs. It's not like a browser where there's constant evolution and stuff like this. Here you get updates from the Gecko engine, but that's about it.
That's the thing. Thunderbird at its core is still very much a browser. It's just a browser dedicated to viewing, responding, and managing emails. Now, they did discuss some things about some of the possibilities of who might take over the project, and I, for one, was very happy to, just let Firefox, let the Open Document Foundation, the fine folks behind LibreOffice, let them have a crack at Thunderbird. Because LibreOffice works,
That's one of the option, and the other one is the Software Freedom Conservancy. So if the thing with
that just
Mozilla,
sounds a little too Stallman for me.
Anyway, if things doesn't work out with Mozilla, they have other options. That's a good thing.
Well, maybe the Thunderbird Council will walk out and launch an IPO, right?
That might happen, and that was kind of the reason behind all the layoffs at Canonical. I mean, you don't just cut a third of your company for no reason. And the reason for that was to make the company public and start an IPO on Canonical. So it might, this might become,
get some shareholders. Yeah.
Yeah. And people might be able to invest in Canonical in the near future. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, the Ubuntu, the desktop OS, has never been profitable. And it didn't stop the project from going on. But now that there are investors maybe involved, well, they needed to get rid of some things like Mir, like the Ubuntu phone that wasn't going anywhere. I mean, it was interesting projects, but you can't justify that with investors.
No, definitely. When you're rocking down to investors, you got to get. I mean, until you're making like Google money or Amazon money, you got to kill those moonshot projects that are just wicked cool, 10 years ahead of where the market is, and trim it down. I mean, that's what they did. It'll be kind of interesting. I don't think anyone in the community or even the financial industry went, "Oh, didn't see that coming." No, they didn't.
That was coming. And who knows? Maybe if they had gone public earlier, they could have saved a ton of R&D money, because at least one of the investors would have told them, like, this Mir Unity Ubuntu phone thing, drop it or my money goes.
So did you have something to say about IoT and snaps before we get off this?
Yeah, I mean, this might get rid of all the not invented here syndrome from Canonical. Snaps can stay, but they're mostly being used for IoT and cloud services. For desktop apps, I would go for Flatpaks, because this is...
Flatpaks if they need a specific runtime. If they don't, app images. Just use app images.
App images are good as well, yeah.
I don't know. On Screamyolo, use all three. Oh, right.
Yeah, that's okay too.
Hey, man, we got a little bit of sorting news as I quickly scroll back up to this. Vivaldi browser, they got a snapshot 1.10.834, but rolls off the tongue 0.9. Second 1.10 snapshot, show title.
Snapshot.
The big thing from this, because the other thing only works on that other one operating system that shall not be named, is you can sort downloads. I'm not kidding. This is not 1990. You didn't just finish finding a game to play online with GameSpy. No, you didn't. Vivaldi is like, hey, you can now sort your downloads from... Why is this the thing? Because using Vivaldi, we were just looking at Vivaldi with Vivaldi. We use it for all of our shows here. Why? Because it works. It's nice. I use Chrome. I use Chromium. I use Chrome Beta. I use Vivaldi. I use Foxfire. You name it. 2 versions of Foxfire, because Google get the Hangouts working in the new one. But I do genuinely wonder if the team at Vivaldi know that basically the first step, 99% of the users do. I mean, the first thing is disable all that whiz-bang. Nope. I mean,
disable all the JavaScript.
Right. If you remember, like that NeoWin overlay they used to have for the browsers back in the 90s that just added nope, all that crap. That's the first thing they do. But what they did do with this snapshot is they've updated to the latest Chromium branch. So at least that's good. It's currently available, Deb, RPM, you name it, 32-bit, 64. Why are we still doing 32 bits in 2017? I don't know. It has some Japanese IME fixes. So, yeah. Okay. Yeah, Chromium 58. So that's all right.
Really, since they already have a search box in their downloads tab, it's really all I need. What other kind of sorting do you need in a freaking download manager?
That and the clear all button.
Yeah, that's helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you the last time I've opened a, just out of curiosity. Oh, okay. You might open your download tab if you start downloading something and you go make some tea and you come back and it's not done yet. And you're like, what is wrong with this server? How slow
What's the speed like?
Right.
Right. Okay.
So, people helping keep us up to speed are our beautiful party Patreons. Currently 102, kicking 179. What Sneaky Caches per Saturday night train wreck? That's right. This show itself is a Patreon goal that you have helped make possible because we don't take any of the big podcasting money. I was going to go for a joke there, but I was like, who's big podcasting? Or I was like, oh, we tell you what to say. No.
Joe Rogan?
Yeah, we don't take any of that Rogaine money. Easy joke. But, hey, man.
Yeah, no, apparently 102 people are entertained enough by us to keep on kicking 179 wet stinky caches
That's
a
crazy,
week.
Pedro. I mean, it would probably be a good idea like if we gave them something in return for that, though.
But we kind of do.
What?
We give them, them early access. Yeah, I know. That bad term. But you do get earlier access to the Left 4 Brads, the Portal 2s, and all the other series what we do, as well as the full unedited versions of these shows, this one and Linux Gamecast Weekly. You also get access to the very, very exclusive pre-Chosen, which is basically a whole entire new
No wonder we're
podcast
going broke, man. We're giving them a custom RSS feed for like an extra show every single week. What?
Oh, yeah. It's like about an hour to 50 minutes, sometimes a little less, depending on how quiet we are. But yeah, no, it is very much a new show, completely unfiltered. It's usually the preamble talk me, Ven, and Jordan have on Saturdays. So, yeah, if you like us, please kick on over to Patreon. It's patreon.com.
Don't forget that last bit. Yeah, patreon.com/Linux Gamecast. Jordan and I watch Doctor Who every week together because we're very weird like that, and we decided to start recording it last year. So if you've ever wanted that weird, bizarre experience of hanging out with Vin and Jordan as we watch Doctor Who in our own special way, it's there in Rift Tracks. Put it on your mobile, hit play with the Doctor Who's and all that. Let's thank the beautiful people. First of all, everyone in chat room, thank you. And the new,
Big thank you to Daniel Yoon. I don't know how to pronounce your last name. I'm sorry. Ian Christus pledged. Thank you very much. Inertia sent us some magical internet monies. Thank you. Maddie sent over a little bit of power.
Jesus.
Power. Very heavy power.
I put this thing on a scale. It weighs 6 pounds, man. On our Amazon wish list.
Around 3 kilos for those of us living in Europe. It's an EVGA 600 bronze. Thank you very much for that, Maddie. That's the first step on the way to Box of Business 2.0,
baby.
Yeah, and someone else sent us some lights, some LEDs,
spooky floating lights, and my hands are other places. Giggity. No, man, I do. I'm guessing the perpetrators of this, their names rhyme with Steve and Joe. By the way, merry belated birthday, Joe.
Yes.
Hey, man, I got one of these things hooked up, just kind of testing it out, because this thing's on like wicked low with an extra filter on top of it, because they will blind you. These things are going to Kansas with us. They're well built. They were low cost for what they were, and they will be put to good use for many years to come. Just a quick mention, linuxgamecast.com/support the show. We got those Amazon links. We love everyone who uses those. We get a little taste of that. We got that wish list. Go check that out if that's a thing. PayPal. And of course, Bitcoin support. Because, hey, man.
Magical internet money.
Hey, man. Bitcoin never took off. They're not worth anything. Just send them us. We'll put them to good use. It'll be quite brilliant. So, let's see if we can do this real quick. Slice of pie time. Nom it.
So that's in the latest issue of the Magpie magazine, and you get everything needed to build voice assistants. It's using, I think the software they ship with the project is based on Google Assistant.
Okay, you're going to paint that thing blue. It's going to be a Me6 box. Done.
Hi, I'm Mr. Me6.
Existence is pain.
I thought that this would make a very good project, a very good base for Minecraft. And yes, Minecraft is now reacting to what I'm saying. But yeah, I mean, that would be a good project to start with Minecraft.
I mean, it's better than Minecraft. At least it has more functionality. It actually works off of the, if you want it to, of course, it works off of Google's own AI. You can set it to just the regular OK Google, what you would get on your phone, or you can have the personal assistant one that was supposedly better, but we heard about it for a whole 2 weeks and then zip, nothing else. So I don't know how that's going.
Well, I just want to say that Minecraft didn't catch that.
Let's just say, everyone, if you get an app, you probably have 3 or 4 pies laying around. Just go ahead and build your own version of this so you can have your Mi 6 box. Let's just face it, that's what every single person's going to do. All right, speaking of boxes, why is this up here? Because sometimes we just like to put cool ass up in this business. That's right, a Pi PC case modded with a heatsink.
Wait, that's a Raspberry Pi in there?
There's a Pi in there. I mean, this is all the way from 3 banana for scale. So you know I found this on Reddit, obviously. Right?
Yeah.
It's just so well done. For your audio listeners, man, definitely go and check the links in the show notes for this. That's where we have all this, because this is just all right. That's dedication. Look at that, the Hyper 212 style next to it.
They made a teeny tiny heatsink, and it kind of works apparently, judging from what the guy's saying.
There's thermal paste on it, and it does conduct heat, so it's a legit heatsink.
And check it out, LED YOLO video card. That's
completely fake video card, but again, nice touch.
Don't care, still had video card. It's 1080, rocking the team green. Got the this is just beautiful. I just kudos, and eat that banana before it spoils. Hey, I think we're done talking to the people. Maybe they want to talk back at us.
Yes, apparently my Jitsi decided, no, we're just not going to have any of you right about now. There we go. We're back. Okay, so if you'd like to get in touch with us, I mean, it's right at the end. Why not? If it was going to F up, might as well be now. Go on over to linuxgamecast.com and you hit the contact button on the nav bar. Fill out the form. It's pretty easy. Throw us some feedback. Make sure you pick LWDW from the little drop-down menu thingy. Unless, of course, you want to send some hate mail over to Linux Gamecast Weekly. But that's neither here nor there. What do we have in terms of feedback?
Coming up, hey man, Trog's hanging out at Chat Realm Dynamic right now. Hey, we talked about the Android CLI. Do you remember that discussion last week, Strider?
Yeah,
oh, that's
launcher.
right, you don't because you overslept. Oh, right.
I had a job interview as
Back to it. I mean, he says, hey, people, just caught up on last week's Linux Weekly Daily Wednesday. Why I agree, and this is the CLI launch screen. That CLI on Android for localhost is pants on heads. Ridiculous. There's an app I use daily called ConnectBot. This is a GUI that will SSH into your Linux boxes from your phone and then provide dynamic CLI interface with handy touchscreen shortcuts. It's ideal for controlling headless Raspberries or for gaining back control of your gaming rig. Hell, that's a fellow Linux gamer at 5 a.m. UTC during an LGC after shows. And clearly, when Sirius Am Vulcan has ran... Oh, dude, you sound like you're talking personal experience, Brad.
Yes.
Yeah. I highly recommend it, and it's available via the F-Droid, which is best Droid. If you don't know about F-Droid, man, go check it out. It's its own little app store. Great place to grab the latest and greatest copies of VLC, among other things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, F-Droid that has only open source software. So that's a very good. ConnectBot, I've been using it for years. I've even fixed production servers with it. It's a very handy little tool. It's something you want to have on all your Android devices.
Yeah, but the discussion was about the whole using a CLI as your launcher, and even this app, this is just a perfect example. It has a GUI that then, after you're logged in, after you're SSH'd into whatever box you're attempting to do so, then it gives you the CLI. That is what people expect. That is what an app should do. Just unlocking your phone and boom, all you get is a CLI. That's hipster BS.
I don't know, call me old-fashioned. I just install Terminal. Which terminal do you use on Android? The one that shows up when you type Terminal in the Play Store. That's the one I use in SSH. That's just my business, because never underestimate the power of a lazy sysadmin who does not want to get up and has their Android device handy. But that's going to do it for this week. It's been real. It's been brilliant. Thanks, everyone, for showing up. Hope to see you next week. You can always get a hold of me. I'm at Vinstone on the Twitter things, plus Vinstone. Type that in. You'll find me on the G+.
And I am Pedro Mateos. You can find me on Twitter occasionally at unaccounted4 or plus Pedro Mateos on Google+, just all the time, basically.
Mm-hmm. And I'm Mathieu Commando. You can find me not saying anything on Twitter at Strikor or being posting a little bit more stuff on Google plus Mathieu Commando. Also check out lutris.net. There is a Discord channel. There is IRC. There is a Google Plus page, all that stuff, and a Patreon page, of course.
It's kind of brilliant. Forgot to mention that on Patreons. We updated that last week. Real quick, if you are a patron and you want to get into our Discord server, that's this thing here, everyone. This is where the inmates hang out the other 6 days of the week. It's right on the Patreon page on the first $1 goal. Just click that and it'll give you a link right to that post. But we'll see you next week, and Pedro and I will see you Saturday. Bye-bye.
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 Just over 30 minutes.
Right.
Just over. Just a teeny tiny bit over.
Like maybe 31 if we're being...
No, when you started talking...